It was the dumbest thing that I've ever done. And trust me, I've done some dumb things, but this dumb thing ended up bringing forth the best birthday present ever. And it was the best birthday present that I've ever received. It ended up changing my life entirely. And thank you for joining me. 15 minutes with me, Brian Sussman. Of course, these podcasts are available at Spotify and Apple and SoundCloud and Buzzsprout. And video versions are also seen at YouTube as well as my Facebook page, Brian Sussman Show. For more on me, just go to briansussman.com. Okay, I'm going to back up. I was born in East Los Angeles. When I was in 8th grade, we had moved to a Chicago suburb, Northbrook, and I attended 8th grade there as well as my high school years at Glenbrook South High School. I had a great high school experience. I was drunk almost every weekend, however. And why was I drunk? It was because, if you recall my very first episode for this new season of podcasts, I talked about my testimony, how I came to know Jesus as Lord. And you'll remember from hearing my story, I was scared to death of death because of some traumatic accidents that I happened to witness, including the first, which was the death of my best friend, Kenny, who was 10 years old. I was scared to death of death. And you may, if you listen to that episode, you'll recall my first prayer: God, I need to know who you are because I don't want to die like Ken did. And then I saw 2 more fatal accidents after that. So I was scared to death of death. I knew there was a God out there somewhere. I was scared to death of death. So now we fast forward to my high school years. I found a great way to forget all my troubles by I wouldn't just have a few beers with the boys. I would drink till I passed out. And that was a common theme through my high school years. I was still able to maintain sports and some of the other things I was doing. But when weekends came, I would just bury myself with the bottle, so to speak. I went to college at the University of Missouri. I became a member of the Sigma Nu fraternity, and I had a habit there of just every time it was party time, I would drink till I passed out. And it's interesting because I remember in high school and even in college, I would be stumbling drunk. And yet I'd look at my watch and I'd say, oh my God, it's almost midnight, I've got to pray. Because that was my habit. I would pray to this God that I wanted to know so badly every night before midnight. It was just, I felt like if I didn't do that, something even worse would happen to me. So I would pray these prayers, stumbling drunk. God, I want to know who you are. We get into this, as I talked about it in the first episode. There was a woman that I had met. She was from California. She was from Northern California, whereas I was originally from Southern California. And I was just head over heels in love with her. She, to her credit, was not in love with me. She liked me. I think she had a lot of fun with me. But she realized I had some problems. And I think that's why she was keeping herself at arm's distance from me. But I loved her so much. And I was totally depressed when she told me just before the first semester ended that she wasn't going to come back to school the next year. And I thought, gosh, I wanted her to be my girlfriend so badly, but if she's not going to come back to school the next year, what's going to happen? The second semester was underway, and it's spring break time. She went to a private women's college just up the street from the University of Missouri called Stevens College. And she and her girlfriends were going to go to spring break in Florida. So they had left. Their spring break began a little earlier than ours at the University of Missouri, and I wanted to go to Florida so bad to see her. But I didn't have any money. My parents weren't interested in paying my way. So here I am at the University of Missouri, not knowing what I'm going to do for the next, week or so while everybody's at spring break from the University of Missouri. And I thought, okay, I've got an idea. The first thing I did was I broke into her dormitory and I went to her room and I sat on her bed and I prayed. And I believe it was at that moment that I really prayed to receive Jesus as my Lord and Savior, as my Messiah. I prayed right then and there. And I was just sitting in her room because I missed her so much. And that's when I came up with a plan. And I think I might have actually thought this was from God. I was going to hitchhike to Florida. So I got all my stuff together, my little gym bag. I put up my thumb. And 4 days later, I was in Orlando, Florida. She was in Fort Lauderdale, which was 200 miles to the south. But I was in Orlando. I made it. Problem was, when I was in Orlando, we got kicked off the turnpike. There was no hitchhiking allowed. And so I wound up on this interchange. And there were a bunch of hippies camped out there. This is the 70s, a bunch of hippies. And I asked these people, I said, so how long have you been waiting for a ride here? Oh, man, we've been waiting for 4 days. I thought, 4 days? Spring break will be over by then. What am I going to do? So I came up with a plan. That night, I started searching hotel parking lots nearby, figuring somebody had to have left their keys in their car. And all I'd have to do is just kind of open up the car, jump in the front seat, start the engine, take off to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. As soon as I'm there, I would just leave the car, and I could surprise this girl. I made it all the way to Florida. Look at me. I was searching for that car, and I finally found one with keys in the ignition. The car appeared to be unlocked. I'm contemplating what I'm going to do when suddenly, all around me, 3 squad cars, searchlights, cops get out, up against the wall, spread your hands, spread your feet. The next thing I know, I've got handcuffs on and I'm being led to a patrol car. My life flashed before my eyes. My first thought was my parents are going to kill me. My second thought was I'll never get the girl. And my third thought was this was the dumbest thing I've ever done. A young officer, I'm guessing he was probably about 30 or so. He led me to his car. All the other cars dispersed. He led me to his patrol car. He took off my handcuffs, placed me in the passenger seat right next to him in the front of his car, and we drove around all night. I think they picked me up probably I'm guessing 10 or 11 at night. He drove me around all night. He just wanted to know my story. He clearly realized this is just a college kid from the University of Missouri. What are you doing here? And I told him the whole story. I was trying to get the girl. And he gave me spiritual counsel. After we drove around for a bunch of hours, he took me to I think it was a Denny's restaurant or something similar, and he bought me a wonderful breakfast because I was tapped out. I had no money left. And I didn't have very much money to begin with, but he took me to a restaurant, bought me a great meal. And then, just as the sun was rising, and you can hear my voice, I'm getting choked up. He drove me to a Greyhound bus station, purchased me a ticket to Fort Lauderdale, and the last thing he said to me was, "Get the girl, Brian." To this day, I honestly wonder, was this guy, was he an angel? I'm serious about this. Who was this guy? I wish I could meet him all these years later. Because I got to Fort Lauderdale, And on a payphone, I called up this girl, and she and all her girlfriends packed into this car and picked me up at the bus station and brought me back to their condo. And there was no room for me to stay in the condo. It was packed with all these women, and I don't think they really wanted me there to begin with. So I slept on the beach, showered in public showers at the beach, and we had a great time. A few weeks later, we're back at school. It's my birthday. It's April 3rd. And she packs a little picnic lunch. I think she got the lunch items from her school cafeteria. And we went out for a little picnic lunch. And I remember it was very chilly. It's early April in Missouri. It wasn't warm, but she wanted to have a picnic. And she pulled out this card for my birthday, and it said a bunch of things. And at the very end, it said, "And I'm coming back to school in Missouri next year. Love, Susie." As they used to say, and probably still do in the world of hockey, he shoots and scores! We were married 3 years later. We've been married all these years since. She's put up with my shenanigans. She's put up with my crap. She's put up with my this, that, and the other. And we are rock solid. And I've got 4 of the greatest kids in the world and 7 incredible grandkids. And can I tell you something? It would be easy for me to say, well, and if we didn't get together, there wouldn't be these kids. Well, guess what? If we didn't get together, there would be 3 of those kids because they were adopted. And God knows that they wouldn't have dads. Those boys would not have a dad. Me. God chose me. God allowed me to make that stupid ass decision to steal a car. Forgive me. But it was. He allowed me to make that decision, and he said, okay, I'm gonna put all this together. There's gonna be officer so-and-so. He's gonna see him in Orlando. He's gonna take him out. He's gonna give him some counsel. He's gonna give him a meal. He's gonna put him on that bus, and he is going to shock Susie. And she's going to say, I love this guy. This guy came all the way to see me. And it worked. You know, God does clearly. Okay, just look back on your life. Please, if you're having a crummy day right now, if you've hit a bad patch, if things aren't going your way, just look back and find those things in your life where God was for you and not against you, and he made a way and he connected the dots, because that's what he did for me. This young Jewish kid who was living in Chicago goes to Missouri and meets this girl from Northern California. And it is truly one for the books. So I am so grateful. I am so grateful for his love and his grace. What does grace mean? It means getting what we don't deserve. And his mercy, not getting what I deserved. Listen, I deserved to be in big trouble when I was screwing around in that parking lot looking for a car to steal. But God, in his infinite mercy, and if I can just quickly take a sip of coffee here. My friends, God bless you. May he keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you. And even when you make dumb decisions, he can turn those things around for the good. And many of you listening right now are testimonies to that. So thank you very much. I'm Brian Sussman. More at me at briansussman.com. If you like this, please share it. Spread the word. That's why I'm using my voice, to try and encourage and equip and inspire other people. 15 minutes with me, and when I say 15 minutes, I mean it. God bless your day. Thank you so much for listening or watching.